I'm looking forward to seeing the Super Bowl this weekend, and I thought I'd give you an interesting idea on a gourmet-inspired appetizer to serve along with the meal. Today we're going to make homemade potato chips, and I'm going to top them with some fantastic truffle salt to give them some extra flavor. And I'm also going to prepare a cheese dip for you to serve along with it that will make them even more delicious to dip into. So the first thing we need to do is get some russet potatoes. These are nice organic russet potatoes. I've went ahead and rinsed them, got any dirt off of them. And first step is you want to slice these thinly, so you need either a mandolin to use manually by hand, or if you have a nice machine like this, I've fitted my food processor here with a thin cutting slicing disc, and I can just run these right through. So and then what we're going to do is take these out, and you're going to soak them in cold water for about an hour. I've also added to this water about 2 tablespoons of vinegar that will just keep the potatoes from keeping brown. If you want to, you could also peel the potatoes. These are organic potatoes, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the skins on them. But the important thing here is just to have good, thin, consistently thin shapes, which this food processor certainly does for me. So we're going to go ahead and get all soaking, and then we'll come back and put those into the fryer. Okay, my potato slices have been soaking for an hour in the water with the vinegar in it, and now what we need to do is get a colander and empty these out into the colander so we can drain off all of the water. And then we need to give them a good rinse. And then I'm going to take them from the colander onto a towel to dry off some of the liquid a little bit, because we're going to be putting this in hot oil, remember. And if you put something that's too watery in oil that's hot, it will splatter even more and potentially burn you. So make sure you do a good job of drying these off first. And I'm going to put a few out, and then double my towel over and give them a pat on top as well. That will help get off some of the extra liquid. Went ahead and set my deep fryer here for about 380 degrees. If you don't have a deep fryer, you can also think about baking them. They won't come out quite the same, I think, as fried potato chips, but it certainly will be maybe a little bit healthier. But honestly, with fried foods, if you fry them at the right temperature, the foods really don't soak up a lot of the oil, so it's not nearly as terrible as you might think. I'm going to go ahead and put a few in here to test. You want to go ahead and put these into the hot oil for about 3 to 4 minutes till they're golden brown, and then we're going to remove them to a pan that's lined with paper towels to help drain off some of the excess fat. To season them after I pull them out, I'm going to use a truffle salt. So I have here a great product from a UK company called Truffle Hunters. Make fantastic truffle products, and this is their truffle salt that I'm going to use to season these on top. This company's fantastic. It is available in the USA, and they also make some of the finest truffle chocolates as well. So you could check those out if you're going ahead and order something from them. Okay, my oil's good and hot, and I'm going to go ahead and drop those potato chips into the fryer. Watch the clock. We're going to let those cook for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to remove them to a pan lined with paper towels. Alright, so these have been cooking in here in the hot oil for about 3 minutes. You can see I have a nice golden brown. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my frying basket out of the oil and let it drain for a minute. Alright, my oil's drained out of the potatoes, and I'm going to go ahead and dump these into my sheet here with some paper towel. And then I'm going to spread these out a little bit to so that they all have a chance to get the paper towel, get some of the grease off. And then I'm going to sprinkle these while they're hot with this beautiful truffle salt. This is a very coarse truffle salt that I have here. So you will have really nice, intense flavor. So I got this spread out. Now I'm going to give them a sprinkling of my salt. That's it. Those should be ready to go. Let them cool down for a minute, and then you can go ahead and serve them hot. We're going to show you how to make a really interesting cheese dip to go along with this. Also, it would be great along with a sandwich. I'm also going to be making some lobster rolls too, so this would be a great side for the lobster rolls as well. We'll go ahead and do another batch and come back to you and show you how to make the cheese dip. And to go with our potato chips, I'm going to show you how to make a quick cheese dip that will be just delicious with the potato. And we're going to use a very special cheese, that being Gruyere. And it's one of my favorite cheeses in the world. That's why I buy nice big chunks at a time. Make sure when you're in the store that you look for this Le Gruyere AOP logo. That means it's the real thing. It's made in Switzerland. And if you have a look at our website, melangeme.com, we'll post a story up there about how this cheese is made. I went to visit last fall, and it's a very interesting process. So over here I've warmed in a non-stick saucepan. I have a cup of dry white wine. This is a French Chablis, unoaked Chablis that I have here. And then I'm going to melt in that a ½ pound of cheese. So I have here about 6 ounces of Gruyere, Le Gruyere AOP, and about 2 ounces of cave-aged Emmental, which will give it a nice flavor as well. And I have already heated the wine a little bit in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump this cheese in, and we're going to let that melt into the wine, and then we'll transfer that to a dish to put with our potato chips. Alright, so you see here my cheese is starting to melt. I have it on about medium heat. You don't want to boil it, you just want it to be warm enough, and this cheese has such a beautiful melting property that it will melt right up for you and integrate with the wine nicely. So you want to keep stirring that, and eventually it'll be such that you really can't even see the cheese in chunks anymore. It'll just be one nice mound of soft cheese. So just keep on stirring that. You can't overdo it, but you can end up boiling it, which you don't want to do. So just keep on stirring until it's just right. And then we're going to transfer it to the dish back here. This is a beautiful cast iron coquette from Staub of France, and this is cast iron, enamel covered cast iron. So I'm going to heat that up so that will retain its heat because it's cast iron, and keep the cheese dip warm as it sits for a few minutes outside of the stove. Alright, so you'll see here my cheese is melted in here, but you'll see how there's still some liquid from the wine. And so the way to remedy this is you take about 2 tablespoons of the wine that you used in there and add a tablespoon of cornstarch to it. And I'm going to add that at the very end now to my recipe, and you'll see what that will do is it will thicken up the liquidy part of this and make it all seem a very similar consistency for you. You just want to keep stirring that a little bit, and it will thicken up. You see how it's already getting thicker? And that will be just a nice consistency for you to dip with and coat. To see how it coats the spoon now, that's what we wanted to coat the potato chip as well. So we'll just keep heating that just a few more minutes. I'm going to let it get just a tad more thick. Alright, so you'll see here I think I've now reached the right consistency. See, it coats the spoon very nicely, and so I'm going to put this out with my potato chips. I have my coquette here that I've warmed on the burner, so that should retain some heat. And I'm going to take a non-stick ladle, put that into my coquette. And here we have it, our homemade potato chips with a nice cheese dip. See how that coats the potato chip nicely? I guarantee you'll love that. Enjoy the game.